Why do we do this? Why every year do we gather under this particular roof as others do the same? It's a question which has a great degree of poignancy. It's a pointed question because it insists and agitates in each and every single one of us an answer. For the reality is thus: who are we if not for what has gone before? What can we say we can be if it wasn't for the men and women who literally laid down their lives to that which we can sometimes take for granted is actually that, granted? Why are we here? It is a challenge, primarily because sometimes we would rather not be. We would rather consider that the rhythm of our lives can continue as normal. We would rather argue. We would step away from the challenges of a time such as this. But every step that we take in freedom has been paid by the price of blood, most of which we have never seen, nor will we ever experience, let alone understand. But that is why we're here, so that we can at least peer into the annals of history, recognize them, honour them, and so they can pierce our present, teach us lessons today. A mantra we hear every year, but why not? For lessons need to be repeated if they're never ever learned. Lessons need to be reminded, lest they never seep into our hearts, minds and souls. That is why we are here. So today, we're going to hear from our young people. Why? Because those that have gone before have given them a chance to grab life in a way that many of them who we honour today have never and will never experience. But I tell you this, they watch us now. They watch us now because they recognise that they see hope in each and every one of us. That the names which are here and those which surround our city watch us now because they ask of us, what are you going to do today? If we died in war, what peace can you bring? If our blood was spilled, what wounds can you heal? If bullets were fired, what conversation can you have instead? That is why we do it. We know that the footprints of history weigh heavily upon us. The wars that have gone before. But even since then, there has always been a whisper of war, like a low hum in the background of our experience. Even now, in Europe, bullets are flying, bombs are dropping, children are crying, wives are mourning, men are destroyed. Even now. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why we do it. For we do not want to be found wanted or wanting by history. We do not want to then say to those that come after us, we didn't care. For history will judge us if we do not remember. History will hold us to account if we do not engage. That is why we do it. So there'll come a time when we fall silent, when we are occupied by our own inner thoughts. There'll come a moment when we'll hear poems and readings, and they will challenge and agitate what is within us. There'll be a time when we'll be laying wreaths for their reminder of nature's continuing message to us, to always at any given time pray and propose peace. But above all, we need to, we have to, we will remember. As I said, voices. Young will be speaking to you. And I now call upon Nicole and Omole to bring forward their poems. Thank you.
In the Flanders fields. In the Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row and row. The mark our place, and in the sky the lark still bravely singing fly. Scarce heard amid the guns below, we are the dead short days ago. We lived, felt, drawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in the Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from falling hands we throw. The torch will be yours to hold it high, if you break faith with us who die. We shall not sleep through the poppies in the Flanders fields.
They shall not grow old, that we are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We gathered, but on the street just there. Many of us having never been to this particular place before. The coach was lovely, and the drive was such, and the sun seemed to somehow burst through on this particular day. Underneath our feet was a carpet of dead leaves, which beautifully littered the land upon which we walked. As we got off the coach, we saw one of your colleagues in uniform, a hat and a medal, and there was an exclaim of hope and of joy as everyone saw Dave. And he came and he walked with his experience, with his stories, with his reality. And it was beautiful to see as we walked through the entrance of the National Memorial Arboretum, our young people making their way into the heartbeat, if not the lung, of our national remembrance. A place which sits at the centre of this country, willing and ready to remind us of those who have, as I've said already, gone before. Our young people were not only respectful, they were stunned. They were moved and they were shaken by what was immovable objects which actually moved them. There were stories, there was laughter, there was cups of tea, but there were older men and women who saw these young lives walk in and they smiled because they realised that what they did or their great-parents or great-grandparents did was actually worth it when they saw our students from this college pay their respects. So in a moment, we're going to reflect on that day, Wednesday the 9th of November. We're going to see what they saw. We're going to maybe hear what they heard. We're going to reflect. Because our national remembering is a responsibility for each and every one of us to engage in, lest we ever forget. We cannot rely on the arrogance of our present time if we do not stand on the shoulders and on the soldiers and the mothers and daughters and friends and family that have gone before. So let our minds be focused, let our eyes be drawn to that which was done this week. Thank you. there were a number of wooden poles staked in the ground. And on each wooden pole, there was a name, and maybe, certainly, an age. It's a very different time to this. We sometimes take our freedom literally, as if somehow it's always been this way. I think the number of wooden poles was an underestimation of those who said no to war. But they were young men, literally 15, 16, 17, 18, who said no. But the irony was, their lives would be taken because there was this collective responsibility that somehow an involuntary sacrifice must be made in order for an enemy to be defeated. We were directed to this particular memorial, asked to make that long walk. And as you place your feet on that ground and you come closer to that which these young men faced, you wonder to yourself, who would I be if that was me? What would I say if someone said you needed to go to war? Where would I run to? Where could I escape? And the statue, those immovable objects which I mentioned before, shifted and challenged and agitated my spirit, a blindfold around this young man's eyes, him knowing that at any given point his life will be snuffed in a minute because he didn't want to take someone else's. That is equally the casualty of war, for it destroys not just our collective peace, but our inner peace as well. There was a horror to it, but that horror was such that it reminded us of how deeply war can rip into the fabric of our society, but also the very thin thread which keeps us and holds us together. And if cut, can leave us floundering, like those who fell on Flanders fields. We saw other memorials as well, others which touched on loss, others which reminded us of pain. And as you can see in the centre of it all is a really wonderful, if not imposing wall, with the names of every soldier who was passed at the hands of an enemy bullet or even a friendly bullet, listed there. Names which people right here actually knew. And on that day, tears were shed because they couldn't call them off that wall and have them speak to them about why on earth Stoke are losing 5 games in a row. They couldn't talk to them about who's going to win the World Cup. They couldn't speak to them about the cricket tweet T20 or how many prime ministers we've had since they passed. Things we literally take for granted. And it's beautiful that we can laugh in the midst of those moments because of what those men did on that wall, and those women too. And I remember talking to a gentleman who actually served, and I said, what does this wall mean to you? So there's people on there that I know. But he also said the gaps are there for those who did come home, but may never walk again, or speak again, or hear again. Death comes in many forms, people. And sometimes it can be the loss of your marriage, relationship, a job, friendships, because a bullet just doesn't rip into your flesh, it tears into the fabric of your soul. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why we need to remember. For we could have easily been one of those shot at dawn. We could have easily been the name on the wall. Could easily be there trying to get that name alive again as our tears flowed down our cheeks. So in a moment, we make a journey into the past once again. And we hear the names of those who have fallen.
Colin Dunn.
Ronald J. Walters.
Reginald R. Frost.
Daniel H. Gator.
Eric K. Mackinson.
Ronald Moyes.
George Parker.
Arthur J. Pierce.
Reginald Simcox.
distributed right across this nation in order to remember those who have fallen, those who may be unable to walk, those who can no longer see, and maybe not even hear. In a moment, we'll be laying wreaths. And these are a symbol of our act of remembrance. We do so in order that those things which are immovable can shift us, change us, challenge us. For who wishes to be a name upon a wall ever once again? So I call upon those who are to lay the wreath. Thank you. The day not too long ago, in September, many of us will recall. The world was abuzz, planes flying up to Scotland. Can you imagine the conversation in each and every one of people's households? Wondering, thinking, could this be the day we've never really wanted to wait for? Collectively, we came together as a nation because a symbol of who we are and what we proclaim to be was moving on to planes and literally pastures new. And as some of us may recall, as the coffin was drawn into St. George's Chapel in Windsor, the vestiges of state were removed and her humanity was there for all to see and experience. Young voices once again will speak of those memories as I call upon Caitlin and Liv to read on our behalf.
Thinking of our royal family, we send our deepest condolences for your loss. Queen Elizabeth changed the lives of millions and helped make Britain what it is today. She lives on in the hearts of British citizens and people across the world.
Dear royal family, our sincere condolences to King Charles III and the entirety of the royal family on the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
We pass our deepest sympathy, love and respect to you all, as your mother and Queen was an inspiration. Thank you for all of your years in service to us. Much love to all of the royal family during this time, to the loss of your beloved mother, grandmother and great-grandmother. She will always be remembered. Rest in peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are journeying near to the end of our time. And a few words will be said in a moment, and the national anthem will be sung. But before that, and equally before our public services make their way, before we sing that oft-used national hymn, I now call upon Lisa Kappa, MBE, to deliver some words. Thank you.
Visitors, our students, our staff, colleagues, governors and esteemed guests. This week has been a very special week at our college. It's been a rich week of activities, events, discussion. And you can see some of the product of that reflection on remembrance. This beautiful cross that I'm holding has been crafted at our Burslem campus and was crafted by students from our partner schools who have visited our college. You can see the richness of the creative wreaths. You can hear the emotion in the poetry that we have heard and the beautiful literacy work of our last two speakers. These activities have given our students and indeed our colleagues a real opportunity to reflect on what remembrance means to each of us as an individual. It was wonderful to see the beautiful film, which really conveyed the emotion again on that fantastic trip to the National Arboretum. And I think Reverend Jeff really conveyed that sense of anticipation, of arrival, as students arrived at the Arboretum and could really start to feel the enormity of what it signifies. That opportunity for our students to think about some of the issues in today's world, as well as those in the past, such as the world wars, is a really important part of this week, and indeed of our curriculum. Thinking about the war in Ukraine, thinking about other issues such as in America, thinking about justice, social justice, democracy, fairness, equality. Having the skills to challenge, to question, to consider, to talk, to express are such valuable skills for our students to take with them through their lives and to think about our hope for the future. It just leaves me, I think, on behalf of all of you, to just say, wow, what a powerful, rich and beautiful event this has been today. I can sense the tension and the emotion in the room as we see the lineup on the film of all our connections with the armed services. And you can hear how people have connected to some of that sense that Jeff so carefully described of times gone by. So I just want to thank everybody who has contributed today, to Lindsay Cherry and the fantastic team of students and staff who she's brought together. We're always very proud of our students at this college, but particularly today for our business and public services students who have really led the way, and the marching led by our student governor Tom and his friends. So thank you to all of the students, and also to obviously Reverend Jeff for giving us that inspirational and energetic speech and really helping us to reflect and think today. I'd also just like to thank our guests for joining us and for all of you in contributing to some of the elements of this week's fantastic experience. There is a little bit more to come. We are inviting you over to our lifestyle building where our catering students have made some poppy biscuits. So I hope that you will be able to join us there. And I'd now like to hand back over to Reverend Jeff, who's going to lead us into the national anthem. Well done to all involved, and thank you.
Thank you. In a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be upstanding. Before we sing the national anthem, our public services users will come forward and march and stand on either side as recognition of their public service. Can we please be upstanding? Thank you. Users and all those who've attended, and equally you, students and staff, who have immaculately respected this moment. Thank you so very, very much. Have a wonderful Remembrance Day.